This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. We've got two Jan 6 defendants on the lam, breaking free from their pretrial detention, breaking away from the federal marshals, and have disappeared. One of them, Olivia Pollock, was scheduled to go to trial yesterday in front of Judge Carl Nichols in the District of Columbia, and she's nowhere to be found, and her court-appointed lawyer doesn't know where she is either. And Joe Hutchinson, her buddy from Georgia, decided to kind of skedaddle as well. And so now the FBI and the federal marshals are in hot pursuit trying to find them. They are some of the most violent Jan 6 defendants. That's who's going to decide not to go to trial, right? The ones that were really crazy and really violent. Olivia Pollock, armed with a vest, a bulletproof vest, tried to steal a baton from a police officer, punched him in the face, did all sorts of things. She's the sister of another violent Jan 6 defendant, Jonathan Pollock, who's also on the lam, who they haven't been able to find. He assaulted multiple police officers, punched them in the face, used their shields to bash them in their heads, did all sorts of things. So this is the little dark secret of the FBI and the Department of Justice. There's a handful of people who participated in the Jan 6 insurrection, who are treasonous, traitorous people who they've not been able to apprehend, or once they were apprehended, they were able to break free. And now we've got two more with Olivia Pollock and Joe Hutchinson. Joe Hutchinson, obviously knowing he was going to do this, I think he tried to distract the Department of Justice because he wrote a letter to the DOJ on February 27th asking permission because he represents himself. He's pro se. He's his own lawyer. He wanted to go, and I think this was all bullshit, but he wanted to go, so the letter said, to see his buddy Olivia Pollock's trial, to both give her support and, in his words, to learn the rules and the procedures since he was going to be representing himself. I think that was just a way to have the Department of Justice and the federal marshals lower their guard around him so that he could find a back door to get out of and escape with Olivia Pollock. So now the three of them, Olivia Pollock, Jonathan Pollock, who was never apprehended, although there's plenty of video evidence of him assaulting police officers, and Joe Hutchinson are all out. Where could they go? Well, let me remind everybody that we have one, at least, of the Jan 6 insurrectionists who was never arrested, but is wanted on the wanted poster, one of the most wanted men that the FBI is looking for, and that's Evan Newman. Evan Newman, you may recall, in March of 2022, escaped to Belarus. Yes, that Belarus, the one next to Russia and Ukraine, and got political asylum and is still living in Belarus. And it gives interviews there like he's some celebrity talking about the personal freedom and liberty that he has in the dictatorship, the communist dictatorship of Belarus, where he apparently rather live than back in the good old US of A. And maybe that's what Joe Hutchinson and Olivia Pollock are trying to do too, get out of this country and make their way to the other places that might give them asylum. It's going to be very difficult to do because they are literally fugitives from justice on the most wanted list for the FBI, and it's going to be very hard for them to take a train, plane, or an automobile out of this country and get somewhere else that's going to give them any kind of amnesty or immunity from prosecution. You might be wondering, isn't that a crime, failure to appear in federal court? Oh, it is. And it's a serious one, and how serious that crime is and how many years you get for that crime, the crime of failure to appear, depends on what charges you were looking at that you have run away from. So under 18 USC 3146, failure to appear in federal court, you start with what are the charges that are against you. The charges that are against Olivia Pollock and Joe Hutchinson are serious. They're up to 20-year felonies for obstruction, for assault, for battery, and all of that. That means they could also get a failure to appear criminal charge, and they will, against them, and that could be separately sentenced up to 15 years in prison, and it's not served concurrently, meaning you don't get any benefit for serving the time for the crime that you were originally charged with. You're going to do that time, and then you're going to start your failure to appear sentence separately. So they could be looking at like 35 years in jail now because they have failed to appear. And that's going to be up to Carl Nichols. I mean, all he's done so far is said, that's interesting. Let me issue a bench warrant. See, now we get another lesson in legal AF world, a bench warrant being issued. Federal marshals and FBI scramble to execute the search warrant or the bench warrant to apprehend Joe Hutchinson and Olivia Pollock. And if they're successful, which the judge is giving the Department of Justice and the government some time because he postponed Olivia Pollock's trial until August. So from March till August, but she's not going to get any breaks. That'll give them time to find her, apprehend her, arrest her, and do a superseding indictment, a new indictment, adding a new charge of failure to appear and ask for up to 15 years. Also, the judge could and will revoke their bond, put them into federal detention, pretrial detention from now until August. So she's not going to be going home with another ankle bracelet. And neither is Joe Hutchinson. They're both going to be going to the federal detention center straight away, and they're going to sit there. And now they got a really pissed off judge who's going to remember all of this at sentencing. Now, some of you might ask, is the jury going to learn about this? And the jury will learn about it because it's going to be added to their indictment, meaning the jury's going to have to decide on the issue of, well, this is relatively simple. Did they run from the authorities? Yes. Did they need to be apprehended? Yes. Did they fail to appear? Yes. That is a conviction. And then it's up to the judge, Judge Nichols, who's none too pleased, I assume, that these two people have decided to escape justice and will be in charge of their sentencing at the appropriate time. So I look for some of the highest sentences that have been given to Jan 6 defendants, the ones that range between 80 and 96 months. These two morons, these two dangerous, treasonous, traitorous people, Hutchinson and Pollock, and if they ever catch the brother, him too, you're going to be seeing numbers that are off the charts because of this additional failure to appear. But this is a race against time. This is literally like the movie The Fugitive, because they got to capture them and catch them before they make it to somewhere else, like somehow to Belarus with maybe some fake IDs and false identifications, and then we lost them. Then they're going to be sitting there for the rest of their lives instead of where they should be, which is in the dock of a federal courthouse and in a trial and then sentenced related to that. So we've got another sentencing yesterday, though, or another conviction yesterday, which is also important. I want to bring it up on my hot take just so everybody knows what's going on. Robert Swine, Gieswein. He's a 3%er. That's what he calls himself. He was an active participant with the Proud Boys. He also was outfitted on Jan 6 with a helmet, a flak jacket, goggles, and a bat, and used it, including chemical spray that he sprayed on police officers. And he had his own paramilitary group that he trained on the side called the Woodland Wild Dogs. Well, that Mr. Swine has admitted his guilt, pled guilty, entered into a plea deal where the federal government is going to recommend up to 4 years. I assume he's cooperating against the 3%ers and the Proud Boys as well. And that just happened yesterday as well. So let's bring it all home. You got Tucker Carlson, who's self-selecting videotape of, Jan 6 people, I guess, picking daisies and just wandering around, or, the one guy with the Chewbacca hat who Capitol Police tried to diffuse the situation. It's because they were outnumbered. So rather than fight him, they sort of opened the door and let him go somewhere, hoping they would buy some time to get some reinforcements. That's Tucker Carlson. See, he was given a tour by the Capitol Police. And Donald Trump, running on a new platform of, I'm going to absolve and give amnesty and give a pardon to all Jan 6 people. Well, then they've never seen the police reports and the videos related to Evan Newman, who attacked police, living now in Belarus. Joe Hutchinson attacked police, now on the run, on the lam, a fugitive. Olivia Pollock, who attacked police, who is now a fugitive. And her brother, Jonathan Pollock, who's probably the biggest defendant, who punched, attacked, beat police. Why don't you focus on those aspects of the video instead of on the ones that you self-select, edit, and then give a running commentary that is incorrect and false about Jan 6. If you want to see Tucker and Trump, if you want to see the mayhem and the bloodshed and the battleground that was the Capitol because of Donald Trump, all you got to do is watch the video, the best of clips from the Jan 6 committee. They're all out there. Watch those. You're going to absolve all those people of liability and criminal responsibility. You're going to make all those people patriots if you get elected. If you didn't understand who you're voting for in 2024, you better start making your choices, because now you see what happens when the inmates run the asylum and the Republicans and Trump try to get back into office, and you see how they're going to try to rewrite history. I do these kind of hot takes about once a day. I sit at the intersection of law and politics, and on Wednesdays and Saturdays, when I'm not practicing law, I co-anchor a leading politics and law podcast called Legal AF on the MeidasTouch network. And if you want to follow me on social media, I'm at MS Popok. This is Michael Popok, Legal AF reporting.
MeidasTouch is unapologetically pro-democracy. And look, we know you are too. So please make sure you check out our best-selling shirt and our best-selling gear, the unapologetically pro-democracy gear. And hey, while you're at it, make sure you check out my favorite shirt and one of our most famous designs. It wasn't rigged, you're just a loser. At store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.